Hey everyone, I'm Jenna.
I'm Clint, and welcome to the Enchanted Parks and Ports podcast,
where we chat Disney, Universal Cruise Lines, and beyond.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, Jenna, to the Enchanted Parks and Ports podcast. Today, we're going to a space that we haven't done yet, and I did have to do this. I got to wrap myself out. So when we talked about doing this episode, I was like, okay, I don't think we've done this, but we're getting to that point in our podcast where we've done enough episodes where I'm like, but didn't we maybe do this at some point?
Check yourself? You had to
I did have to fact check myself.
I love that for us.
So I went back and went through, but we're going to talk lounges today. We are talking this slice of Walt Disney World that's available mostly to adults. I mean, kids can go, but this is mostly an adult-driven pastime at Walt Disney World, and that is there are incredible lounges spread across resorts and parks all over that we're going to dig into a little bit today, not on a deep dive, but on some favorites. But Jenna, before we dive into that, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. We're settling back into being home after this big Walt Disney World endeavor, and already, of course, scheming our next adventure, which I've sent you various messages about in the last.
Yeah, you guys were on a serious scheming.
So we'll see what that results in. I know you have some travel coming up in the next month or so I'm sure I'll get extra jealous when you're away and suddenly the Disney countdowns will increase in my house or something like that.
Well, I am at that space where, you get close to a trip. Like a trip is in the distance, and sometimes it's like, okay, I can see it, but I'm not concentrating on it.
Yeah.
But for me, when I get within about a month to 3 weeks of a trip, it's like my Disney want goes into overdrive.
Right. All of a sudden it's real. It's a thing you're doing. You're starting to make sure the house is taken care of while you're away. This, that, the other thing that makes it like, oh yeah, I'm actually going to this place.
Yeah, and so I'm excited about that. We have some other things. We're gonna jump into news. We're gonna do our typical routine here, jump into lounges. But there is one thing that I have to do before we roll through, and I'm hoping our listeners are going, wow, something has changed. Because again, we've been working through a process with our Imagineering department around how to continue to increase the quality of our podcast. And I know we did a couple of recent trip report recordings that honestly, my audio was abysmal. And so I'm just going to own it with our listeners. It was awful. But once you've recorded something, sometimes you don't know. So yes, you guys had to suffer through some bad audio from me for a couple of episodes. But in the spirit of making sure that we're doing that, I bought a new mic. Hopefully it's making a difference. Again, with this, we're only going to know till after this is recorded, so I guess we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. Also, don't worry, Clint has been suffering thinking about it for the last week.
It's been driving me crazy.
So he's fully committed to figuring this out. Also, the Imagineering department, aka my husband, will be recruited promptly to fix said problems as needed. So we're on it, friends. We know that I'm yelling and Clint is somehow down a well or something.
So yes, that seemed to be our last recording, was me halfway down a well, hanging by my fingers and toes and trying to do a podcast all at the same time. But before we get into lounges, I do think it's important we kind of stay with news. Not a lot popping in the landscape, but a few small things that would potentially make a difference on somebody's trip. I'm just going to start out. We have a couple of things we've talked about in the past, but they're now here. Yeah. They're in full swing. One kind of came early, so Soarin' Across America opened, I believe it was 24 hours early, so a day early. It's getting relatively positive reviews. I'm seeing stuff on the socials. People are enjoying this. It's something that has added another layer to that particular ride. So I can't wait to see it in June, but I'm glad this is there and it's ready here for the summer for us to enjoy.
Yeah, I really hope it sticks around long enough that I get to see it too. I'm not sure when we'll be back at Walt Disney World right now, which is a weird experience to not have a next trip on the docket.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, no, we have zero Walt Disney World on our current countdown right now. We have a Disney cruise, we have a Disneyland concept in there, but we don't have a Walt Disney World on the books right now. So I'm just hoping, like, can we just stick around long enough? I'm sure we'll be back at some point promptly, but can we stick around long enough that I can see it too?
Well, without a doubt. And then Rock and Roller Coaster. She's open. She's Muppetified, if that's a
Yeah.
word. There's some great, I've really tried to stay largely away from this one on the socials from the standpoint that I want to write it and I want to experience it kind of in the clean mode.
Yes.
But I am, just from a few pictures I've seen, some of that kind of stuff, really intrigued. It looks like they really took advantage of the opportunity to bring this ride to a different level, not just reskin it with something that's new and different. So I'm excited. We'll see what happens. I know I'm probably going to be writing it in June by myself because there's no way Terry Ann's getting on this thing. So
Yeah, Terry
it's going to be an
and I
adventure.
can go hit up the Muppet snack stand, which I also wasn't expecting to be a thing. Like that kind of snuck in there that was a thing. And Clint and Lucas can go ride this one because no, thank you. But Muppet
Yeah,
snack,
not a lot on the snack stand yet, but it is Muppets
thing.
FOOD, kind of radio DJ kind of style. So I think that's cool.
Something Muppet snacks. Why not? And I love the location for a snack stand because of Beauty and the Beast and Phantasmic, both being outdoor theaters that you can bring food and drinks into. Snack stand in that area sounds amazing. So big fan of extra options there. But my news highlight, Clint, is also at this park and is maybe less exciting for the average cat, but very exciting for my family. A new
Well, and I think for a large portion of people who do go to Walt Disney World, like this, what you're about to talk at and describe fits a niche that is much needed.
Oh my gosh. So we know baby care centers are huge, huge perks at the parks, right? Like a quiet, Quinn's in the distracted feeding stage where if she's feeding and someone says something, she's like, hello, what, what? And there's a lot of distractions at Walt Disney World. So a quiet place to feed your baby, a quiet place to reset, to have your toddler take a bathroom break with tiny toilets, all of these things, so beneficial to change them, right? Baby care centers, just worth their weight in gold. But they were not all created equal. In fact, there was one that really fell below the rest, which was Disney's Hollywood Studios. It was like a sad little corner in guest services, facing into the guest services building, one little curtain with a rocking chair. She needed help ASAP. And I'm using past tense language because the new baby care center at Disney's Hollywood Studios in the animation courtyard area, which, first of all, what a win in that area that you're not trekking to the front of the park. And it looks beautiful. It's like Magic Kingdom level or better worthy area. So that just speaks to their commitment right now of making this park more baby toddler friendly. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, huge props and points to Disney for kind of building this in because again, it fits with the area. We know this spot's going to be very kid heavy, right? And so recognizing the need and then saying, how are we going to fit this better into a park location? I think they just get huge kudos all the way around for making this happen for our youngest of park goers.
Oh, 100%. And like the other baby care centers, I'm happy with. Disney's Hollywood Studios, I actively was like, this needs to change. And so the fact that they were on that, and that was a bit of a surprise. Like, that wasn't something they announced with a lot of these changes, and then all of a sudden it happened. Similarly, some character meet and greets have just happened at Disney's Hollywood Studios. We have Super Kitties in the park. Stop everything and book a trip to Walt Disney World, Super Kitties fans, because Bitsy is there at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So is Sophia. I also am really intrigued if this means that we might see Bitsy and Sophia make their way to Hollywood and Vine for Disney Junior Breakfast when that kind of maybe comes back. Imagine you could dine with Bitsy. Like, I feel like that would be a big draw to some. We are a big Super Kitties household. We went as Super Kitties for Halloween. A big fan. So Yeah, that's going to be a big draw for like the younger crowd too.
Yeah, it definitely seems like, again, with Bluey and Bingo coming in, now Super Kitties, they've ebbed and flowed with character-specific treatments for our younger, newest viewers of Disney Plus, those kinds of things. And so I think Disney continues to realize that this is your future fan base. I mean, I was surprised we took our fantasy cruise, over a year ago, and we're doing the whole fish extender trading thing, and had kind of what I would say are more upper teenage, kind of close to adult age kids who were asking for Bluey kind of stuff as part of their stuff for the fish extender exchange. But again, it's not unsurprising that this is what they would be attached to, because this was their childhood. Star Wars was mine. This was theirs. Future forward, this will be Abby's. This will be Quinn's.
Yeah, 100%. Like those things that we're nostalgic about, like, for me, maybe that's Belle, but for her, it's going to be Elsa. Like, you have to continue evolving, and this is a different era of that. So, long story short, lots going on at Disney's Hollywood Studios, whether it's for the grown-ups with Muppets or for the littles with the Baby Care Center and new character meet and greets. That park is evolving, and that doesn't even factor in that Monstropolis is still coming. So we have lots of new and better at Walt Disney World right now.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So, as we promised, we're going to do a bit of a favorites dive into Hollywood Studios lounges. We've decided we're going to do two that we've been to.
Yes.
Ones that we've enjoyed, kind of why, where they rank, those kinds of things. And then we're going to do one that we would still like to visit. Haven't gotten there yet, but it's still on the list. And then we'll probably have to mention a few others just in passing, because our listeners will probably maybe decide another podcast is better if we don't. So there's going to be some things that we'll have to bring in. But we're going to talk, and as we always do on this podcast, we're going to go ladies first.
Okay.
So Jenna, you're on Walt Disney World property, and you're ready for that adult beverage or slow down moment. You're going where?
Okay, so there isn't a wrong answer in terms of Walt Disney World lounges, right? There's so many. And as is often the case with Disney planning, there's a right answer depending on the scenario, depending on where you are, depending on what you're doing. We know I often love a Skyliner moment. And we'll try and find a reason to get on the Disney Skyliner if I don't have one. And one of those reasons can be to head to the boardwalk area, which a lot of people don't equate the boardwalk area as being connected to the Skyliner. I think a lot of people think the Skyliner resorts are Art of Animation, Pop Century, Caribbean Beach, Riviera. Yeah?
Well, because that's what it's advertised. You're right. Because it's sneaky good, though, that when you reach the back of Epcot Park at the International Gateway, you get a lot more bonus, and this is where you're going, is Boardwalk is within a stone's throw of that Skyliner station.
Absolutely. It is a quick walk, really, from International Gateway, a little stroll, if you will, over to the boardwalk. And we know there's tons of amazing lounges in this whole area around the lake, right? But Boardwalk has some that I really love. So one thing I love about this lounge at Boardwalk is it's super tucked away. You kind of have to know to look for it, right? And it can be part of a larger evening. So when I'm thinking of Walt Disney World Lounge, I'm thinking Lucas and I are there on an adults only trip, or I'm there with a friend or whatever. But I'm like, the girls aren't with me. This is an adult evening. I'm enjoying kind of a luxurious, slower pace. I'm taking the Skyliner. I'm enjoying looking at the views, maybe around sunset or in the evening, whatever it is. I'm doing that walk to Boardwalk at night, which is like, is there any more beautiful area at Walt Disney World than Boardwalk at night?
I don't think so. I mean, the amount of like glitter you get with the lights, you've got the reflection of the lake right there. You've got the resorts across the lake. Like, that whole area is just incredibly beautiful at night.
So gorgeous. Or maybe you've just spent your day at Epcot and it's 9 o'clock and the park's closing, but you're like, it's 9 o'clock and I don't have a park hopper, so I'm not hopping to another park, but I don't want to like end my night yet. I'm still on the Disney excitement, adrenaline is pumping. I want to like end in a kind of slower way. So I'm going to Bellevue, which translates literally to beautiful view. Which it is. This is the lounge that's on the second floor, kind of tucked away in the boardwalk. You go up the stairs, and it's almost like you're in this. Well, the theming is a 1930s sitting room, right? You're in, well, except they have TVs, so like probably wasn't the case in the 1930s. But you sit in these gorgeous chairs. But I'm never actually in those chairs because they also have a veranda. Like, how good is that veranda?
It's super good, again, because you get what Boardwalk brings at night, plus the lake and the other resorts in the background. This is so good. From that standpoint that you just described, with tucked away, quiet, have to look for it.
Yeah.
Relatively available, like you can... Because the other thing I appreciate about it is it's walk-up ordering, right?
Yeah.
Super simple that way. And so, again, I got to do this on our trip for the first time last time. And, like, if I was looking to escape the hustle and bustle that can be Epcot Park in the evening. And we know Epcot has a great game for this kinds of experiences, but it's also a pretty competitive game.
It is. Yeah.
You can, and if you happen to be in the area of the International Gateway and you want to slow down and you want to take something different, maybe even I could see going to Bellevue prior to kind of finishing a night with fireworks, that kind of stuff, like bounce over there, enjoy it just after dark, and then cruise back, do your fireworks thing, and then get on with the rest of your day.
Yeah, that could work. Or even like, I love this spot pre-dinner. Right? If you're going to Flying Fish, if you're going to Trattoria El Forno, like you're right in that area where you can kind of have your pre-dinner happy hour situation. And the veranda, like when we say available, it can be empty. I've sat there like multiple times with no one else on this veranda. I think when we were there, it was spring break, and there was, one other couple there?
Yeah, one other group at another table, and they were far enough away, you still felt like you were kind of by yourself. Like, it was...
private veranda, looking out over Boardwalk. Like, amazing. So, I do really, really like this spot for kind of the availability, the location, the way that it fits into other plans, right? It's not like... I really, like you said, it's not I'm fighting to get into Trader Sam's or get that Beacon Barrel reservation, and I know I have 45 minutes. It's a very different vibe. It's a slow paced, we're just taking our time. We get a Skyliner moment. Like, all of this is screaming Jenna, is it not? Like, this is all the vibe. So if you're after that, this is a lounge that I hope you'll kind of put on your list and maybe make its way up your list.
And I'm going to say that for somebody who isn't an old-fashioned fan, this one is solid.
Like, really solid. One of the better old-fashions on property, for sure. So I, as a personal mission of, trying them all and ranking accordingly, this is up the list. It's like a proper old-fashioned is how we described it when we were there, right? It's not, like, you're not getting, like...
It's super classic.
Super classic, super what you would expect a high-class level bevy would be, right? But where are you going? Where's your number one lounge for today?
Well, I don't know that this is my number one lounge, but this is where I'm going to start.
And that's, as I was saying it, that's why I was hesitating. I'm like, number one lounge for today. Like, we're not ranking them accordingly, but the one you're going to talk about.
Yeah, and so for me, this is one because, again... There's a park that I go to that I always feel like I'm a little bit at warp speed.
Okay.
Right? And finding those moments to slow down is super important. Like you got to give yourself a breather.
This is
And so
not
for
wrong, my
me,
friend.
that park is Hollywood Studios. Like, I always feel like I'm in overdrive when I'm at Hollywood Studios because, yeah, probably being on brand for me is because I am in overdrive at Hollywood Studios.
You want to do all the things. There's a lot of fun things, and also like just the landscape of that park is it's hot, and the thrill things are spread out. So to prioritize that during your day requires some hyperspeed.
And so the lounge I'm going to is one that people aren't going to be surprised by, and that is Brown Derby Lounge. This is a fantastic space within this park. It's one that I have continued to dream about since Terry Ann and I did it. I mean, now we're going on 2 years kind of since that trip, right?
Wow.
But it's one that people talk lounges at Disney, and this one comes to mind very, very quickly for a few reasons. One, location. I do love the location of this lounge. It tends to be in a space where there's a fair bit of shade.
Yeah.
Things can slow down. Hollywood Studios can be a baking park. Like, you can get fried at Hollywood Studios pretty quickly. So any place that you can find shade is a huge bonus in this park. Not only that, but a lot of times when you're kicking back, you're chilling out at a park, one of the funnest things for me to do, and I don't know if this is the truth for all Disney park goers, is I like a good people watch.
Yeah.
Right? I want to see, as outfits are cruising by, it's like, hey, that's really creative. Or you're just seeing a family living their biggest life, going from this attraction to that attraction. Yeah. Whatever it is. Right? And this is in prime people watching territory.
Oh, and chipmunk watching territory. There's many a sighting of Chip and Dale when you're sitting at this lounge.
It is. So I think you can get that moment of, here's a young person meeting Chip and Dale for the first time. You're seeing the joy on their face. You're enjoying adult beverage, those kinds of things. But I also think Brown Derby Lounge itself gets a bit of a bump. It's walk-up only.
Yeah.
You can't get a reservation for it, which makes it super accessible. And you get the bests of Brown Derby in a lounge setting that you have this kind of access with. You can still get the Cobb salad.
Yeah.
You can still get the grapefruit cake. You can still get many of those things that would draw you to Brown Derby. Now, you're not getting a price break. You're still paying full rate for these things at Brown Derby Lounge. But what I can do is I can sit outside. I can enjoy an adult beverage. Again, what I would highlight here is the margarita flight is incredible. This is the one where I'm like, I gotta do that again.
Yeah.
Because it is just that quality.
It is. And it's like surprisingly good. Because when I think of Hollywood, do I think margarita? No, but also yes, now I do, because I've had that margarita flight, right? I love you bringing up this one too, because this general concept of like a lounge extension of a restaurant at Walt Disney World is a thing that can generally be a good way to access something that otherwise maybe you couldn't, or you want more flexibility in your day. Like, I would love a Brown Derby, margarita flight, but I don't know if I want to do a Brown Derby reservation. Let's say I'm on the dining plan, use my 2 credit. Like, it might be something like that too, where it's I just want some more flexibility, but I still want access to this experience. And there's a couple different lounges that are like that, where you can access some of the main menu without being in the main restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the quintessential ones is you get Tambu Lounge over at the Poly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can get Ohana noodles you can get there, but you could also get the better bread pudding there, right?
Or chicken wings. The chicken wings are what Lucas is passionate about deeply with Ohana. So, like, you can get some of those things without the Ohana reservation. This is how I convinced my husband we don't need to go to Ohana every time we go to Walt Disney World.
But I think to your point, Jenna, there are these lounges that sit aside. And I'm going to mention one that I don't think you're going to talk about and I'm not going to talk about. Yeah. But again, lounge, like restaurant adjacent is you've got Tiffin's and Nomad over at Animal Kingdom. That's a huge one, right? In fact, I think to a lot of degrees, Nomad overshadows Tiffin's because of what the location is. You still get the bread service, you still get the churros, you get the great drinks, you've got all the good stuff over there. But I don't have to worry about the menu prices that come with a full Tiffin's reservation.
Absolutely. And Space 220, they have a version of this, right?
They do, which is one that I was like, wow, is that my stretch? Is that one that's still on the list? It is, but it's not the one I'm going to talk about because I'm going to take us back to Boardwalk. But yeah, I think Brown Derby Lounge, if you're in Hollywood Studios, you need an adult beverage. Is Baseline Tap House? Sure, it's fantastic and it's right there. Can you go to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and go to Oga's and get that? You can. Yeah. And I'm going to say Brown Derby is the spot that I would choose 10 out of 10.
Well, also just the ambiance of being on I want to say Sunset, but why am I questioning that? We're on Sunset, right?
Yeah.
There's Sunset down to Tower of Terror.
It's kind of in that sunsetty area. To me, it's more in what I would say is Hollywood Studios hub, kind of that
main strip. We're on the Hollywood main road, whatever it is, my friends. You get the like jazzy Hollywood music playing. You get the ambiance as you're sitting there. So I think that's a great pick. I am right behind you. I'm actually going kind of jazzy for my second pick, courtesy of Scat Cat's Club Lounge, which is a little bit confusing in the name and even in people's concept because Scat Cat's Cafe, super well known in the Disney landscape as the place where you get coffee and beignets, right? And don't get me wrong, I love me some coffee and beignets, but that's not actually what we're talking about. Right next to the place where we know and love, where we get coffee and beignets, is a lounge that opens only in the evenings. It opens, I think it's 5 to 12 typically.
It's later. It's later even for Disney lounges because most Disney lounges are throwing their doors open kind of 3 o'clock time frame, right? Yeah. I mean, you go to many of the resorts, that's what you can expect because I've been caught out by that. I'm like, man, I want to get my adult beverage on. It's 1 o'clock. I'm going to roll over to this thing and guess what? It's not open. Yeah. So those are things we do have to be careful with.
And I do love a lounge that's open after park close. Right? It's open after you've seen the fireworks and you're not ready to end your evening. Maybe because, I don't know, you're on an adults only trip and this is your one time a year. You don't have to go to bed at 9 p.m. and put someone to bed at 7 p.m. and all the things. You're on vacation. Maybe you're trying to make the most of kind of your time. Anyway, I love lounges that do open later. And this one is open till midnight. It is at Port Orleans French Quarter, of course. And this is like a proper jazz lounge. They have live jazz performers every night with incredible cocktails. And like the quality of the jazz, which we shouldn't be surprised by because it's Disney entertainment, is top notch. Lucas, I kid you not, snuck out after I was with the girls in the hotel room every night. I think maybe he stayed one after Magic Kingdom. He might have been so beat he didn't go out, but all the other nights, he snuck out to go listen to jazz music at our resort because he said, and he's a big jazz guy. He's a musician. He is very passionate in this landscape, in this world. And he was like, this is some of the best jazz music I've ever seen performed. So that's saying something when you've spent time at the Rex in Toronto and all of these places that are renowned jazz spots. Specifically, he said the Saturday night crew, especially talented, and they're there every Saturday. So that is just a really cool experience to get to see live musicians perform in a lounge. I don't know, besides maybe Yeehaw Bob at Riverside, I don't know if I can think of another lounge where you can reliably see live music.
Not reliably. I mean, I think you on occasion get a spot where you have a guest star or somebody coming in, but on the regular, this is a little bit on the more few and far between.
Yeah, and you can from Disney Springs take the boat over to French Quarter if you're not staying there. But this really does set this aside in the moderate resort tier for me because as you're noticing, a lot of the lounges we're talking about today are in the deluxe category or are in a park. This is kind of an exception.
It's definitely the exception because, and can be that reason to book French Quarter versus something else, right? I mean, I can be looking at a Caribbean beach. I could be looking at, another kind of that mid-tier resort and be like, no, I want to be able to finish my park day. Maybe I'm an Animal Kingdom day, right? Where I'm automatically out early or, I know I've got my family with me. And similar to what Lucas did, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to get this moment that's going to be mine. And this type of a lounge scene at a moderate resort where I'm not breaking the bank to stay there makes a difference.
It totally does, especially if that's something you're passionate about is your live music, right? I'm a big fan of planning Disney vacations with this kind of we and me concept for parents. Like we want to make the memories all together. We want to have core family memories. And this is your chance to restore a little bit. This is your vacation. So how do you build in moments of that too? So I love Scat Cats Club or Scat Cats Club Lounge. I love all the Scat Cats, all the things. If we also, it makes it extra confusing because now we also have Scat Cats Club on the Disney Treasure.
Yes, and that's one where when you first talked about this, I had to. It gave me a little bit of a double take because I was like,
Oh,
wait a minute,
cruises?
are we talking? Like I did have that moment, and then I'm like, no, okay, like fix yourself a little bit because Disney also is giving this on a resort scene, and so. Again, to your point, Jenna, so many of the lounges that we're talking about fall in that deluxe tier. Let's remind our listeners, you don't have to be staying at a deluxe resort in order to go to said lounge, said restaurant. Now, sometimes if you're driving and you're not using Disney transportation, you're using your own, you may not be able to get parking. So that's one of the things you got to be aware of is often to access a resort with a personal vehicle, you'd have to have a reservation. So saying I'm going to Scat Cat Lounge probably doesn't get you parked at French Quarter.
No.
But taking the bus over from some other location definitely can do that for you. So just remember you can access all of these places. And so one of my favorites exists on the monorail loop.
Yeah, there's so many good ones on the monorail loop, but which one are we
It
going?
does. I mean, it is so good that way. But there's one that exists both West Coast and East Coast that people have a tie because it's themed around a character in one of Disney's oldest attractions, and that's the Jungle Cruise. And you have the famous Trader Sam, who has been downplayed a little bit in recent versions of the Jungle Cruise, which does hurt my heart quite a bit because it's like, I'm okay with a headhunter and, this kind of situation on a Jungle Cruise. I mean, you can expect it. Let's just embrace it and keep it part of Disney lore. Because you used to get to see Trader Sam, now you don't get to see Trader Sam, but you can experience his grotto at the Polynesian Resort.
Yeah. And I don't know if I fully have tracked all the differences, but I do, even if you haven't. Let's say you're in my boat, where you're like, I'm not exactly, I just know there's the Trader Sam's sales shop at the end of Jungle Cruise. It's still fine because you know enough. If you've been on Jungle Cruise, okay, there's like general chaos and tomfoolery and some kind of adventure vibes. That's all you need to know in this lounge.
That is it, because that is this lounge. I mean, you talk about antics, you talk about fun, you talk about tiki bar. Like, this is tiki bar flavor. That is on Disney level, right? Like, you take your average tiki bar and Disneyfy it, and what you get is Trader Sam's Grog Grotto, which you get very skilled bar and wait staff who want you to have a good time. You get interactive setting in the lounge itself, where if you order a certain type of drink, crazy things happen across, and often I'm choosing drinks to make these crazy things happen, right? And it is just so good that way. And you can spend, like, I want to spend a prolonged period of time in here because I want to get all the different versions, the shipwrecks and, oh my goodness, we're all having this peril moment. And then you get the volcano moments and you get all the different types of moments that get connected with the drinks in this space. And it's just sheer fun and joy. Again, walk up only.
Yeah, and did they recently change their hours to be a bit earlier, too? Because they're recognizing this.
They did, because it used to be, man, you'd show up at 11 o'clock noon to get your name on a list that then it's opening at 3.
Wow.
And you're having to, figure out, what am I going to go do? How am I going to fill some time? What's it look like? So it was a project and a process in order to get a time at this particular lounge, because honestly, if you weren't rope dropping this lounge, you weren't going.
Yeah. And I haven't been, which is maybe slight, I don't know, bad form to say or something, but I just haven't been because of the barriers to entry, if you will, of needing to rope drop this in the past, needing to be available for multiple hours, all these things. That just hasn't fit with where my family's at in Disney or just the pace of adult-only trips that we've taken so far. So it hasn't made it to the top of my list, but it sounds super fun. It sounds like a vibe.
It's incredibly fun. The food is really good. I mean, you can get the pot stickers, you can get the sushi, you definitely get kind of this, more flavor-forward type of food offering. You do get charcuterie board, those kinds of things, but, you're getting a tuna sushi roll, you're getting pork tacos, you're just getting all of these things that are, as with Polly, right? It's why we go to a Tambu, it's why we go to Ohana, those kinds of things. I mean, it is kind of punch-you-in-the-face flavor with this particular lounge, and again, because it's typically sharing kitchens, man, it's there for you.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting thing to think about with lounges too, is what resort restaurants are around me. We've talked about with Brown Derby, it's a direct, I can get what's on Brown Derby's menu, but generally with lounges, it's a good question to be what's around me, right? What might I get that flavor profile of on the menu? And you can usually see things on the menu in advance too.
You can. I think the other thing that I appreciate about Trader Sam's is they've got a fantastic souvenir cup game.
Yeah, people really go after these souvenir cups, eh?
They really do, because they often rotate them.
Right.
Just to keep them fresh.
Which is why.
Typically, you also seasonally can get different ones that are limited edition. People will stock these things online, and it's well, they just released this version, and people are throwing out on the internet that is somebody going, if you are, can you please buy one and ship it to me and do all the things, right? Because they want to add it to their collection. And, my brother is one of these guys that if he's choosing a trip and there happens to be a new mug, a new cup, those kinds of things at either the East Coast or West Coast Trader Sam's, that's what he's choosing as an adult take-home
is his
for
souvenir.
himself.
Yeah. You're not a souvenir cup or popcorn bucket collector guy?
I am not, but my brother, I am jealous. I walk into his house, we're hanging out, we're doing those kinds of things. I see a cabinet full of these collectible mugs, and part of me is man, I'm feeling kind of like I should have that too.
Should I collect these? We get the jealousy when we see collection.
We do.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, it's such a fun spot. And it's a great, like, a lot of people will do on a rest day, like a monorail crawl to try different snacks, to experience the different resorts, to maybe hit up a couple different lounges. So it's a really good, like, location wise option too.
It is. It's fantastic. I love, like, if you're resort hopping, they talk about the monorail resort hop,
Yeah.
kind of lounge crawl kind of scene, those kinds of things. This one has to be on that menu, obviously. But it also, if you're not just doing the monorail side of it, but you're on a resort day and you're looking for something fun and creative to do post breakfast, you want to spend some time, you want to see some other resorts, this is one of those that I put very much at the top of the list for that kind of an adventure. Just A, you get the Poly, and B, Trader Sam's. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? I love it. This is good.
Okay, before we go to our list of ones we're still kind of coveting, those
It's on the
that
radar.
we still want to venture out to, there's one that we have to cover collectively.
Yes.
Because if we don't, I think our listeners will probably just turn us off right
I
now.
also think like both of us would have wanted to cover this one because it is fabulous.
It is fabulous, and you're right. And I think it would have, and maybe we both did this when we sent each other our lists. It's kind of like, yep, there's that one, but I'm going to choose these other two, leaving space for my partner.
That's exactly why I didn't choose it. I was like, Clint might want to cover GO82, so we'll leave that off the list.
And I did the same thing, and then when we exchanged lists, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Neither of us did the move we were expecting one of us to do, so we've got to do it anyway.
So now we'll both do it, and sharing is good. But I gave it away. GO82. Like, there's no lounge in Walt Disney World Resort that I'm aware of that even comes close to the experience of kind of just elegance, escape, recharge, immersion, like detail too is a word that really sticks out to me with this lounge.
Yeah, I completely agree. The other thing that I'm going to say is two words: adults only.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, like you mentioned, kids can come at the beginning. That's not always the case. And Disney's moving more and more to either there are hours that are adult exclusive to things. Or, for example, on the lounges on Disney Cruise Line, fine for kiddos during the day, at night, or adult exclusive spaces, recognizing that there is a market for this, right? And GO82 is one of those.
It is very much one of those. And again, we talked about this on our trip report when we came back, because this was high on our priority list. Yeah. This was a must-do. And it's so nondescript from the outside, right? I mean, yeah, you get these big, beautiful windows that you can go, oh, once you know it's there, it's like, that's GO82.
Right.
But there's not anything special about it. You walk around the side of the building and you tuck through this door that you're like, there's not even any signage.
Yeah. You're like, is this right? This doesn't feel correct.
And then it blows your mind.
Right. And they do that so intentionally. They're like, you know what it's giving? It's giving a little bit Cinderella's Royal Table vibes, where you go up the stairs for like this reveal, right? And they have a similar atmosphere of go up what Abby would call the royal stairs to see kind of the like, honestly, you could leave me in the waiting room and I'd be a happy camper because it's so beautiful. But
it's that good.
Then you walk through this beautiful golden archway and it continues to just reveal itself, right?
Yeah, you get the lit floor when you're walking in that just, I mean, it looks like you're walking on stars,
It
right?
looks like you're walking on that scene in Spaceship Earth where you lean back and soak in the stars and the AC and all the beautiful things, except you're walking through this like elevated. I want that flooring in my house. Can I get that in like one bathroom? I would just love that.
Without a doubt, super cool, right? And then you get into the space and just the color combinations, the textures that they have built in are just so mind-blowingly good. And what I like about this is different from some other spaces is they're not trying to rush you out, right? Like if you've made a reservation and you've gotten a table, they're going to give you the time at that table that you want. I mean, you can have as many beverages as you'd like. You're going to get the time and space. I do think that there is a better time to visit this particular lounge than others.
Okay, what is the best time to visit this lounge?
It's got to be right as the sun's going down. You're getting that transition of a full day to night when they open the shades, and this place really comes into its own because I don't think there's as good an effect anywhere else on Disney property than the way the lighting is reflected in those windows at night. And I mean, because literally it is fireworks in the sky the whole time.
Yeah. The way they do that is brilliant. And I think you're right that we talk about these layers of reveals with this lounge. When you're sitting there and the shades go up, you see the kind of Epcot World Celebration reveal itself. You notice the lights as the fireworks in the sky. Like it's reveal upon reveal, right? So I totally agree. Like we gotta look up sunset time when we're making this reservation. And we didn't. This was just, do you think we'll be at Epcot by then? Yeah, probably sounds good. And we ended up there at that time, right? But it was magical.
It was great. And then, I mean, I'd love for somebody to tell me where, because I want to go get it, but the charcuterie board, not a huge food game, right? For Epcot, this space is relatively reserved with its food game.
Absolutely.
But the charcuterie board may be the best I've had on property. If I can't remember another one that's better, so I'm going to make that claim right now that it's the best I've had on property, bar none. Yep. The brown butter old fashioned is fantastic, although a bit sweet compared. So if you're much more that traditional old fashioned kind of, I think like we both are, this one gives you a much more sweet forward kind of flavor. But I think what takes this one, while the food and drink match the ambiance, this is a space you just want to go spend time. Like, you want to slow down an Epcot day, grab a Geo 82, and just enjoy the heck out of it.
This is like you're really soaking in an experience, right? You're soaking in a moment. You're chatting about your next year with your person. You're celebrating a birthday, like whatever it is. This is kind of a real like slow down and remember and soak in company kind of place. Also circling back to the old fashioned, it occurred to me we could also go there and ask for the reserve bourbon that's specifically for this establishment, but just not a brown butter old fashioned. Like
definitely a possibility. Like if that's not your thing, I mean, they do have a very extensive drink menu at this spot. We talk about the reserved food menu, but it is big drink menu.
Absolutely. So also just to say, like, when you get to this kind of tier of luxury lounge space at Walt Disney World, you can also ask for what you want, and I'm sure the bartenders or serving staff can help you out. It is also giving, like, one last thing I'll say about this lounge is it's really giving the energy of a Disney Cruise Line lounge. Like the kind of elevated space, subtle but powerful theming, not super food heavy menu, but incredible like atmosphere and experience. If you've been on Disney Cruise Line and you really enjoyed Nightingales or you really enjoyed La Piazza or whatever it is, like this might be a win for you.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to mention for our park goers who may not be alcoholic kind of adult beverage inclined, is a lot of these. I know Trader Sam's Grotto, I can definitely speak for Geo 82. They have mocktails, non-alcoholic versions of some great offerings that you can go and enjoy this space also. So don't shy away from it if you're like, man, I just don't like to imbibe. It's not my game.
Yep.
These spaces are also catering to you because they want you to come and enjoy it. Go get all the fun that's a Trader Sam's. Go get the luxuriousness that is Geo 82 because it's there for you too.
Absolutely. And Disney more and more is putting a commitment behind mocktail inclusions in all of their spaces, which I'm a big fan of. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point on Disney Cruise Line, sorry, I can't help myself. We keep going there, even though Walt Disney World is what we're talking about. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like beverage seminar classes on mocktails in the future, because it is just becoming such a demand and such a thing that Disney's responding to. So just to say, yeah, in the spirit of you can customize your adult bevy in whatever way, that includes probably customizing mocktails beyond what's on the menu as well to make sure you get something that feels amazing in this space.
Yeah, completely agree. Okay, so what's still on your list, Jenna? What's that spot that you still want to visit, you haven't gotten there yet, and gives you incentive to go back to Walt Disney World to enjoy this?
Okay, there's like so many. It's not that there's a handful of lounges, right? Like we should have looked up the number because there are so many, right? But one that's kind of caught my eye over and over again is the Enchanted Rose Lounge. And I'm checking that that's actually the name because, again, it's very similar to a Disney Cruise Line, The Rose. Yes, Enchanted Rose, which is at Disney's Grand Californian Resort and Spa.
Yeah, this one for me is definitely also on the list. I mean, it's incredibly there because, again, monorail loop, right? Bounce over from Magic Kingdom, super easy. What I got caught out by when we went to try to go to this was, again, the opening time.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to kind of look at these things in advance because it often is later. Lately, they have had operating hours that start at noon. So that's promising, just depending on the day. But what I like about this is location. What I also love about this space is I really love lounges that have subtle IP, right? Like where it's like not super above and beyond maybe, but I still am feeling my like Beauty and the Beast vibes. And this lounge,
very much, because this one does that. And what's like, you can picture this, right, is the lounge wasn't open when we went, so they have the red ropes, like the beautiful red ropes draped across the entrances saying, hey, don't go in here kind of situation. But you can picture Clint is leaning over these ropes as far as he can, sticking his head inside, because I wanted to experience it. And what you describe is exactly what it was. It was this elegant, subtle, everything that you would expect from the Grand Floridian.
Yeah.
Fully Beauty and the Beast.
Fully Beauty and the Beast. And here's where I also am specifically manifesting and envisioning this one. Is because typically on our Walt Disney World trips, we'll do one date night, whether it's, grandparents have the girls or this, that, and the other to make sure everyone's cared for. But we will have one date night where we go off and do our thing. And we don't have a trip booked, but we kind of in the back of our minds have is the next time we're at Walt Disney World Christmas time? Because we've never done Christmas time Walt Disney World. It probably would be 2027 Christmas time because we already have a cruise Christmassy thing this year. But anyway, and this resort at Christmas time with the gingerbread house, with the giant Christmas tree. Like, can you just imagine a night where you go to Enchanted Rose, you have a moment there, you're taking in the tree, you're seeing what offerings they have at the gingerbread house, and then you hit dinner at like Narcoossee's or something. Like,
yeah.
So I'm manifesting some like Christmas magic with this lounge. Also, Beauty and the Beast weirdly gives me like Christmas nostalgia because of the Christmas special that there is, and also like the Snowy Belle scenes in her winter dress. I don't know. For some reason, it strikes me as Christmas. So I also, I have visions of a very specific, like I said, there's no right lounge, but there maybe is a right moment for different lounges. And I have this vision of visiting there in that circumstance.
Yeah, and actually, to your point, Terry Ann and I, on our upcoming June trip, we don't have a lot of reservations booked for table service, but the one place we did book was Narcoossee's.
Oh.
So I am seeing a Enchanted Rose before or after Narcoossee's kind of moment, because the opportunity's there, and I'm not going to miss it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, report back. You can kind of forge the way for me. Let me know how it goes, what I should order, what I should not. And we'll do the summer and winter version.
Absolutely.
So
All
where are you
right, as
going?
we kind of wind down, and what's still on my list is I'm taking us back to Boardwalk.
Yeah.
And I
So
think
good.
this may have been the one that people were, if they've been to Boardwalk, were thinking about when you described Bellevue.
Right.
However, one that I haven't been to, but thanks to my friends over at allears.net, specifically Sage, he just raves about this one. This is one that he just talks about all the time, and that is Abracadabra Bar.
Yeah, this is one that you've seen if you've walked on Boardwalk. You've walked by there. I also haven't like indulged in sitting down there, but I've walked by it and it looks cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. One of the things that I love about it is it's based on illusion, magician, kind of turn of the century vibes, kind of, back when simple tricks were kind of amazing tricks, right? And now we've come to expect so much from Disney that this is that throwback to the magical roots, right? And so are we getting, this isn't kind of, again, to go cruise ship style. You're not getting the parlor tricks like you do at the Sanctum. You're not getting, kind of crazy kinds of things that you might at, say, a Cruellers or whatever in some of these newer. What you're getting, I think, is super kind of immersive, lots to look at. You can cruise around. There are some mirrors and things that do some cool stuff. But again, I think what I'm looking forward to is this place is supposed to just have killer drinks. Like I've heard that this is supposed to be the home of one of the best old fashions on property. And they've got some different spin-off versions. And again, I think what I really appreciate about this is proximity to a major park. This would be an easy bounce out moment.
Yeah.
And it just is held in high regard by others. And so I want to go find out. Like, I want to go explore this space. I want to spend some time, pre or post, maybe a flying fish, right?
Yeah.
And just see what it has to offer. It's not a huge space. I have walked through it. I mean, it is relatively small by comparison, so I think there's a chance that, it can continue to be hard to get into, but this is one that I definitely want to be able to explore. It's not huge on the food side.
Yeah, it's a lounge, and they do have like the outdoor tables too, which is kind of nice, again, depending on the day, to sit outside on the boardwalk.
Yeah. So definitely on the list. Maybe it's on the list as my family goes down to Cake Bake or does some of that kind. I don't know.
Nice.
But I am going to somehow find a way, maybe on our upcoming adults only trip or something like that, because this one has been in the wings for way too long.
Yeah, and it's a favorite for a reason. It's busy for a reason. That's one thing when people, kind of moan about availability at certain places. It always just piques my interest because I go, ooh, something good is around here. If there is a wait list, something good is around here. I believe it. Maybe sometimes that's the truth and sometimes that's not, but that's what I want to believe. So I'm curious to hear the reviews there because it's definitely in one of my favorite areas of Walt Disney World that I think is still underutilized as an area to explore, but this location in particular definitely has people's attention.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. All right, so as we kind of close it out, I think we've got a new version of a episode ending event, kind of our typical game style that we do. We do trivia, we've done save and splurge, we've done different kinds of things with this, but you came up with a new idea.
I did. And it's with this exact concept that I'm talking about of, is this just hype? Is this internet shenanigans has gone wild? Or is this actually a hack that is worth doing that you're going to do every time?
So a hype or a hack is kind of what we're talking about here.
Is what we're talking about. And I'm going to give you one thing. We could do this for many, many things, but I'm going to give you one thing. And you tell me if you think this is hype or hack.
Okay.
Fair? And then you tell me why. Okay. This is the one for today. And I am curious what you have to say. I have a feeling I know which way you're going to go, but I'm curious. Room requests before you arrive at your Walt Disney World resort. Is this a hack? Is this like a great thing to do? Or is this hype? Is this just not necessary and not going to result in something?
This is something I always do.
Every time.
And so I'm going to go hack.
Okay.
And the reason is, if you don't ask, you know what the answer is, right? I mean, it's a given. Like, roll the dice and see what happens.
Yeah. And you don't even just do this for you. You do this for every client, whether they ask you to or not.
I do. And I look up online and see, what's the chance? Because here's the other thing I know. Depending on how specific you want to be, right? There's a difference between asking for a certain building at Art of Animation. I'm not throwing out the one we always ask for because I don't want to create more competition. Or, certain buildings at Caribbean Beach, resorts, some of those kinds of things. There's differences between asking for a building set, a particular building, those kinds of things. When you're that general with it, you increase your chances of being able to maybe have Disney say yes.
Right. The more you add, the more likely you are to get something that you've requested, but not necessarily everything. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think there are at times like, let's take Animal Kingdom Lodge, right? There are rooms that are at Animal Kingdom Lodge that are standard resort view rooms. That's the way they're categorized.
Yeah.
But have partial Savannah view.
Yeah, but we can't put a Savannah view price tag on a partial Savannah view.
No, but what I can do is be aware of what room that is and throw a request out there for it, knowing that it's definitely a roll of the dice being that specific, right? Like, we're down to a room number now.
Yes.
And what has to happen is your check-in date, somebody else's check-out date have to align, like the universe has to get a say for this to happen.
Yeah, and also other people may have requested the same room, so that needs to, the dice continue rolling for you, right? But this is just to say, I think that makes sense. Hack in that, why not? It's free, you can ask, and I will say those general requests, like for something like a building, my clients get more often than not.
Yeah, I definitely am in that mode. The other thing that and maybe this isn't true, I don't know, is I think when you put these requests in, Disney has to pay a little more attention, right? I mean, it's not just an algorithm or something that's throwing you into a room and saying, man, you're getting this because room category, those kinds of things.
Sometimes it might be an algorithm. I don't know exactly how they do these things.
I don't know either, but when you do a room request, somebody's got to look at it, somebody's got to pay attention to it, and somebody's got to say, this person has an ask.
Yes.
And so from that standpoint, even if they're like, man, Jenna, I can't hook you up that way, but maybe I can also give you this instead, right? Maybe there's just a slight bit more thought that goes into placement than if it's just being thrown into the wind.
Sure, that makes sense. My hype of this is crib and bed bumper requests. My friends, they don't matter. When you request them in advance, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get them in advance waiting in your room. It's not like Disney Cruise Line. You just got to request them when you get there. And I think with special requests, period, you got to just know the games, right? You got to know when and where these things actually do work, they don't work, what you got to do to follow up. And again, all the more reason to be working with a travel advisor who does all of these things regularly and can help you to know the tips and tricks, right? Absolutely. Or listen to a podcast where they talk about these things. Yeah. Or work with the travel advisors who run your favorite podcast. Shameless plug before we end today.
Yep. So, yeah, I definitely go in the hack category because, again, if you don't ask, you know what the answer is.
This is true. That is a solid expression that probably could land for lots of different things, but specifically room requests. Yep.
All right. So for another week, this has been a great episode. I've enjoyed talking lounges with you. Jenna, we know that you can find us on the socials at
Enchanted Parks and Ports on Instagram. We're starting to come back to life, my friends. I'm home. We have a social media presence again. We'd love you to follow us or give our videos some likes there so more people can find us, and also just to engage with you and get to know our listeners.
Yeah. Again, we continue to share this. A great way to support the podcast is 5-star Apple Podcast review. Throw it out there. Give us some comments. We promise to read it on the air if you do one. And so that just helps us out. So as we close out this episode this week, Jenna, let's remind our listeners.
Adventure is out there. Bye, friends.